welcome to Doors and Corners, a sci-fi and fantasy film commentary podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Zach. And every Friday we sit down and watch a science fiction or fantasy film and give our 2 cents on its quality, production, story, and trivia.
We watch the film together, but without sounds or visuals provided to avoid copyright issues. But if you do have access, we encourage you to join us and follow along.
Here, we like to keep things casual, and there may be discussions of spoilers or sensitive materials or language. But we do try and keep things clean and family-friendly. Ultimately, the goal of this podcast is to create the experience of us all sitting down and watching this movie together.
So get ready to hit that play button, because we're about to get started.
Damn Doors and Corners, that's where they get you.
Welcome back to Doors and Corners. I'm Brian.
I'm Zach.
And tonight, we are following up the 1932 Mummy with 1999's The Mummy.
Because it is Mummy Month!
It is. I would not, it's funny. I'm not a horror movie guy, as we've discussed many times. You're not really a horror movie person either, but you're a little bit more than I am, like a tiny bit. Is that right?
I went through a horror phase not too long ago. My wife and I were playing a video game, Dead by Daylight, that had a lot of horror movie characters in it. So we watched a whole bunch of classic horror movies, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Scream, all that stuff to go along with them, and ended up falling into some other horror movies like the Conjuring series, and we liked it. Though I wouldn't say that it's my go-to genre at all.
Yeah, I'm sure some people would laugh at the idea of the Mummy movies or your like Halloween movies because they're so tame. My son was telling me that they have there's a film friend in his group at his station he works at that they're basically doing like horror films all October, and I'm like, yep, that's not my thing. You enjoy that? And he's like, yeah, it's not really my thing either, but I'm trying to be part of the group. So, but these are as far down Alien is about as horror as I like to get. So I'm perfectly happy doing movies like The Mummy as our Halloween films.
Right. I was just excited to do all the Mummy movies, and then at one point I thought about actually recommending that we do the 1959 Hammer horror, The Mummy, with Christopher Lee. And instead we decided that we wanted to stick with the modern Mummy trilogy, as it's dear to our hearts, and it has such that dispersal between amazing, acceptable, and oof.
Yeah. It's, well, like so many trilogies, it starts so strong and then just, it struggles. We'll put it that way. But yeah, no, we, as we alluded to last week, it's good to know the history of these kind of films and to kind of see how far we've come. But as much as I appreciate 1932's movie, The Mummy, I am looking forward to this one much more because this is, this was 1999. I was finishing high school. This movie was like kind of peak, just, it came out in theaters. Everybody wanted to go see it. It really was talked about as kind of the return of, the Indiana Jones-esque and just the old school adventure film. And, just it's funny. It's got characters. It's fantastical, but not so fantastical that it's like absurd. It hits a good balance. The action scenes are genuinely good. Brendan Fraser was just on fire at this point. He had a few good hits, and then this movie just kept it going for him. Talk a little bit about him a little bit later, but this movie just checked so many boxes and was a big part of kind of late high school for me, and then transitioning into adulthood in the in 2001 when the sequel came out. This is I love this film. I'll just say right now, anybody coming here for like a deep critique, at least for me, is going to be disappointed because I have very few other than nitpicks about this movie to say negative about it.
Yeah, I have a lot of nostalgia for this film as well. I remember this movie because it was coming out at the same time, just like a month and a half before Star Wars Episode 1. And, which actually, they helped each other out a lot, funny enough, when you read into it. The special effects for The Mummy and the special effects for Jar Jar Binks, both handled by ILM, tied into each other quite nicely. I remember it was coming out, and I really wanted to see it, but my parents were like, "No, that's going to be too scary." I was 8 years old, Um, but when it came out, my dad really wanted it, and my grandparents or somebody like got it for him, got the Mummy for him to own, but they accidentally bought him a DVD, and we only had VHS. And so my dad went, "Oh no!" and gave my mom this look, and she went, "Oh no, we're buying a DVD player."
Oh, darn.
And so The Mummy was our first DVD.
Now, did they
And
get
it
an
was
actual
like-
DVD player, or did they get a PS2 to be a DVD player?
I think that my parents would let me anywhere near a PlayStation 2.
Well, I just was curious because it was like the most affordable one for a while there.
Yeah, no, they wanted to keep me away from that kind of a thing. But yeah, I just this was a technological revolution for me. And movies like, this and Mask of Zorro are probably the reason why I've only ever dated dark-haired, dark-eyed girls.
Rachel Weisz and Catherine Zeta-Jones. I mean, they for this era specifically, they're very attractive women. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, I have something else funny to say about this movie when it comes to its leads. Did you know that this movie, in a survey of over 3,000 college students in the early 2010s, this movie appeared in over 30% of the testimonies of people confessing to bisexuality and helping for their awakening to that area.
I've never heard that. I'm like morbidly curious now. Exactly like why?
There's no curiosity why. It's Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser.
They just hit both sides, both of them.
Somebody's watching this movie and they just went, "Oh, something makes sense now."
Okay. Yeah, it was.
Yep.
It's interesting though because I think and this is we talked briefly about this at the beginning. This movie, I think, because of the age and time it came out for us, we were kind of comparing this to like Indiana Jones is the most obvious comparison, and like Last Crusade and Raiders were such a big part of my childhood that this movie, as much as I love it, was just a reminder of like you can still make a movie like that, and they kind of evoked a lot of that. And so, as much as I love it, they kind of just still it was more of a pointing back to that, and it wasn't quite as impactful as those films were. And I don't mean that as an insult to this film. This film is fantastic, but it hit a little bit different because it just reminded me where I think this came out in your life at the same age I was when I was really getting deep into indie. So,
and having been raised with Indiana Jones and everything like that, I would say that this is my Indiana Jones, which is one of the reasons why it's kind of unfortunate that the series never took off the way that one would wish. You can have a bad one in the pipe, but you need a little bit more than that.
Well, I think this is definitely a trilogy where if I mean Mummy Returns, and we'll get to Mummy Returns with its issues, but also a lot of the things that were good about it. If they had been able to have a Last Crusade instead of what they ended up getting with the third film, I think that this series could have gone a lot further. But unfortunately, that did not happen.
Yeah. And then there was the canceled fourth entry, which I totally get why they canceled it. But yeah, this movie is incredibly important to me. I love it so much, and we're gonna have a hard time being, critique.
Yeah, no, that's right. Hopefully you just want to enjoy us enjoying this movie also, because that's what's going to happen. But yeah, why don't you get us those basic deets, and we'll get going here.
This is The Mummy. It is 1999, PG-13, 2 hours and 4 minutes long, which is just kind of the perfect movie run length. Directed by Stephen Sommers, the absolute peak of his career. Written by Stephen Sommers and Floyd Fonville. And we have, of course, starring Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, Arnold Vosloo, John Hannah, Kevin J. O'Connor, and Oded Fair.
Yeah, this movie, it absolutely, the cast is 90% why this movie works as well as it does. I mean, there's plenty of things around the cast that are also great. You know, the story itself, the setting is great and all that. But the cast is what, man, they struck chemistry gold with this cast.
Yeah, they really did. Absolutely insane chemistry.
Yeah. But as usual, if you whoever's listening does have access to this film and wants to watch along with us, depending on where you watch this digitally, we're starting right at the Universal logo. We discovered Zach and I have slightly different versions, and his has like the FBI warning and all that. So if you are hitting play with us, we are hitting play right at the Universal logo, so you're not out of sync. But we're going to hit that play button in 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh yeah.
I do love
from the very
the intro of this
get-go.
film. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
No, go
Yeah,
for it.
from the get-go, it's incredible. I watched several things on Egyptologists breaking down this movie, and I'm also convinced, okay, that making a movie like this, like an action adventure, what you need the charming and charismatic leads. You need fun dialogue. And then you need music. And this movie's music hits like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's
And this is, of course,
definitely up there.
Jerry
I mean,
Goldsmith.
it has that same. It has a lot of brass. It has that cultural flair though. Like it does manage to sound kind of Eastern Egyptian, kind of mystical, while at the same time having those big action movie cues.
Yeah. And so this whole setting, they actually do quite well with like the general aesthetic of like Egyptian artifacts, you could say. But like this scene right here, this has every major type of monument in Egypt imaginable. No place like this exists on Earth. There's also an Oxuna Moon.
Is there some
You have anything to
awakening
say
there
about
for
an
you,
Oxuna
Zach?
Moon? I'm gonna leave that out.
She's gorgeous. So
This is a weird thing to have in this type of movie, though. I remember this was like strange that I was allowed to watch this movie.
I think that it helps that it's brief, and they did a good enough job with the body paint and the pasties that, you know what, you just go with it.
In HD, you can actually just see the pasties.
Oh yeah, they're very obvious in HD. Yeah, I do not remember those in my older VHS copy of these on a CRT TV.
But interestingly enough, the pattern of her body paint and the kind of fishnet dress is actually a pattern of some ancient bead dresses that they found in several tombs. They've also have a lot of the motifs that they have on the walls here are taken straight from tombs. This character here, Seti the First, is supposed to be he was a real guy. Actually, the father of Ramses II, who's referred to as Ramses the Great. One of the most prolific pharaohs in all time, though he wasn't murdered by his high priest. He was, but by studying his mummy, they figured that he died of natural causes in his 40s or 50s.
Yeah, back then that was, lifespans were definitely not what they are today.
No, they are not.
Very Shakespearean, by the way. Here, the whole shadow kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, quick. You had the DVD. Did you have the DVD that had Brendan Fraser's commentary by any chance?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So this was, really quickly, I ought to say that this was one of the first, so there are 3 DVDs I bought when we got a DVD player. It was this, Independence Day, and the Toy Story 1 and 2, like, pack. Those were like, we bought them all at Borders Bookstore, and we got, like, the 2-disc Ultimate Edition of this film. And Brendan Fraser's commentary is, if anybody has access to it, go watch it. It's like one of the best commentaries. It's funny. He's just telling stories. He's poking at himself, constantly, but like in a way that it's not, over the top. It's just, it's one of the best actor commentaries. I mean, usually I really enjoy director commentaries, but actor commentaries can kind of be hit or miss. His is amazing. And, it's also hilarious. Like, you will laugh out loud multiple times listening to him talk about this film. So, but he was going off on how that was very much supposed to be kind of a Shakespearean style staged scene there with the assassination of Seti the First.
And well, because this is loosely based on supposedly a real event in which I believe it was Ramses III was assassinated. And they took one of his assassins, who was a traitor, and buried him alive. So that's kind of where they got this whole thing. Back with the original Mummy movie. Now, Hamunaptra was not a real place. It was not a real necropolis. They don't even know where the name Hamunaptra came from. They just made it up for this script.
Yeah, because that wasn't even in the 1932 movie, right?
No. Anck-su-namun was based on his translation of a real thing. But Imhotep was a real guy. He was an architect from, I want to say it was 3500 BC.
Yeah, it was way earlier, right?
And, way earlier. He was an architect and seen as a very important cultural figure going forward, like for thousands of years. He was almost mythologized by the Egyptians. And
I read sorry, one of the behind the scenes for this is that all the extras doing this like torture stuff, I guess were really having fun with it and almost had to be like toned down by Stephen Sommers because they were just like getting almost like too into it and really just kind of hamming it up and having a good time, like, with all the torture stuff.
According to one of the things is that Stephen Sommers, one of his biggest challenges in making this movie was the extras. They were not super well behaved. They didn't follow direction very well. There's 2 or 3 times when there were extras whose eyes had to be digitally fixed because they wouldn't stop looking at the camera.
Nice.
Ah, the Beatles.
And there's a lot of scenes with decent amount of extras in this film, so.
It's
So
a heck of a thing.
I mean, we're being introduced to some big plot points here immediately too, as far as like the keys being introduced. I mean, I love too that I think we both watched this video that the setup here of having Oded Fehr's character like kind of narrate this makes it kind of set up as like an Egyptian fantasy story also that kind of accounts for possible some of the inaccuracies because this is kind of like a folklore, like an Egyptian folklore being told, from the position of the present. The present this movie is the 20s. The fact that he narrates this whole thing is great. He's got a great voice, period.
Oh yeah.
But the fact that he's the Egyptian, actor. So having him narrate it works really well.
Yes, very much so. So one of the things I didn't understand as a kid, and I would actually say that it's only like probably 6-7 years ago that I really understood, was the importance culturally of this being the French Foreign Legion doing this, and what that says about O'Connell's background and the background of the people that he's with the French Foreign Legion, especially during this time. It's these are all scumbags.
And I mean, because it was all just like treasure hunting, but under the total like guise of some kind of higher calling, right? But really, it was just plundering and treasure hunting and
the French Foreign Legion,
cultural raping kind of thing going on. But go ahead.
Yes and no. Mostly, I mean, you have French colonialism, perhaps being a big part of it, but the French Foreign Legion are mainly made up of like expats from various armies or people that were dishonorably discharged. They're essentially a mercenary company that are contracted with the French government. And they're some of the most badass fighters in the world, but they're some of the worst, most like getting into it is literal torture. And they're sent to do all of the crap jobs. Like imagine a special forces group, not quite, but like you have some former special forces people in there that are sent out to just do the hard jobs.
I mean,
And
modern day, we have contracting groups that are somewhat like that.
well, no,
Certain,
the French Foreign Legion is still active.
Well, it is, but I just mean like the alternatives in like America would be certain less than savory contractors.
Yeah. But like look at these set pieces though. Like
Oh,
all
this
the
is-
extras and everything.
Yeah.
This isn't the kind of thing that you see in modern movies. And this thing has such a gritty, realistic scope to it that I just adore.
Oh yeah. Well, as much as there's
Because
obviously a
we-
lot of CG, there's like just these old school. Yeah, you can't fake this. You got to get this many people out in the desert and shoot this for real, and it looks amazing.
That's one of the reasons why I consider the late 90s and early 2000s to be like the golden era of like action adventure movies. Especially the 90s. But it's just like right around this time, you had The Matrix, you had Men in Black, you had The Mummy, you had The Mask of Zorro, a couple other ones in there too that missing my brain. But this scene of him pulling out all the guns, I thought this was the coolest thing as a kid. I thought he was the most heroic and badass character ever. Because of this.
Well, so he had to put like sticky on his hands because he couldn't get. He's like he was joking in his commentary. He's like try to do that, by the way. Like try to have two guns in like the back waistband and like pull them out smoothly and make it look cool. He's like, I finally had to put like sticky on my hands because I kept dropping them. It was so hard to do smoothly.
Yeah, they're slick because those older guns didn't have a lot of that. Because he had their 1911. But I don't think they were both 1911s, but I couldn't get a good enough look at the other one. It just didn't look.
Well,
it looked different.
Yeah, I mean,
for some reason.
they are early 1911s. I mean, this is 1923. That firearm has been in circulation about 10 years or so, starting to get out in the world. He also like his revolvers are really interesting because they're not very common revolvers, and they just have a really cool look to them. I love all the firearms in this. They're for the most part they're very accurate. And his go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing.
Yeah, no, it's all that. He also just, I mean, Brendan Fraser. He, by the way, this was kind of the beginning of not the beginning. He had done one or two other films at this point where he really started to beat up his body because he did a lot of the stunt work in this movie. And
well, he loved doing stunt work.
oh yeah,
but because the previous ones that I think of particularly are Encino Man and George of the Jungle.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know George the Jungle. He definitely took a few. This guy just runs over. Got some dummies out there. Oh man. But this whole scene. I mean the scale of this is a big intro. The music. I mean you're being introduced to the Magi here, which is just amazing. You're also establishing the relationship with Rick and Benny. Their relationship it's just funny. It works really well because it is genuinely antagonistic, but also kind of like they're both mercenary, both kind of not super up and up guys. Where it's like Benny fully betrays him here, but he doesn't kill him immediately, but he kind of wouldn't mind. I mean, it's just like their relationship is a really good combination of antagonistic but also comedy, and they set it up at the very beginning, which is great.
Yeah,
And,
one of the things that I like about that whole sequence is that they don't show him finding the key. They say later that that's where he found it. I think that it works just fine. There's already a lot of exposition. You don't need all of that exposition constantly, right? So they didn't need to show him getting the key for it to be believable later.
Yeah, you just had to establish he's there.
This scene right here, we've been introduced to Evelyn. We're about to have our funny little scene that was very blatantly ripped off for the movie, The River, But this right here is a dude in drag. Anytime it shows the whole thing, it's a stuntman in drag.
Yeah, you can tell. If you look.
Yeah, if you look really closely at the face, you can tell it's just a dude dressed as Rachel Weisz.
But this whole thing is like one take, done for real.
One take, yeah.
Oh
Over
my gosh.
12,000 books. So they needed to make sure they had it perfect
Yeah.
before
Can you
they
imagine
did
resetting
it.
this?
Dude, that would be like a 2-day set dressing, I swear.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you think that the lobby shootout in the Matrix was fun to reset. This would be worse.
Yeah. I bet.
Oh, just
Why
a
can't
great
I
little side
think of the
character here.
character's name? Evelyn. Character's name is Evelyn.
Yeah.
Not get her name.
So I forgot this actor's name, but I mean he's great obviously as in Stargate. You know, he's a great side character. Then came back for the TV show to do a few episodes, and he's great in this too. This whole opening sequence is so just
Eric Avari. This dude
Okay.
is just in everything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I constantly think of him being, that Kagadian, Master Rahul.
Yeah.
There to get your engrams in
yeah. That's,
the video game Destiny,
Yep.
which Brian and I played together significantly.
oh yeah. But
He's just in everything.
yeah, this whole opening though, I think it really establishes the fine line that this movie walks between drama and comedy. It just nails both because there's so many just greatly delivered lines of just very funny dialogue, but they also do kind of help keep the world moving here. But I mean, just this there that he's talking about the plagues and talking about Ramses, but also being just hilarious. And it's just the writing is very sharp in this movie. The comedy is on point because it never feels out of place. It feels the kind of thing that these people would just be joking around. I mean, maybe it's a little bit modern for the 1920s, some of the jokes, but it never takes me out of it. Like some comedy feels forced, and this one just feels from the get-go like it just naturally fits into these characters and this situation, which I appreciate.
Very much agree.
My kids and I recently rewatched this, and there was multiple just laughing out loud, just looking at each other, just like, oh my gosh, that was hilarious moments.
This is one of my family's great nostalgia movies. I would watch this any day. So whenever we could decide on a movie, us 4 kids, if The Mummy was brought up, most of the time, they'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
It's a go-to. Oh yeah, it's just and it's in that category of film that's just. This is a weird way to put it, maybe, but it's a reliable movie. It's the kind of movie if you put it on, if you're not sure what to watch, this is one of those. You put this on and you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna get like just the feelings of like, oh, this is a great sequence and this is fun, and it's just like the best kind of comfort food of film.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, here we have the introduction of John Hannah as her brother Jonathan. Just fun character. This is like.
He does tipsy
This
so
guy
well.
is Han Solo if Han Solo had no charisma.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Like, he is a scoundrel and a cad, but not in the good way.
Well, he plays it so well though too. I think he works because you have Rick O'Connell, next to him so often. If he didn't have that juxtaposition, it wouldn't work as well. And the fact that he does and they don't overuse him. I feel like you could try to force him into everything, and they let him be in plenty of the film. He's definitely a major character, but he never feels forced or overused. And again, that's a fine line to walk when you have kind of the klutz, goofy. He's half drunk, half the movie, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Did you ever watch the TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No more than 2 or 3 episodes.
Okay. Really good sci-fi show for those of you who are interested. Very strange in so many ways. But he actually appears in the show for, like a season and a half as a major recurring role. He's actually a really good villain and has a particularly memorable role, and really liked him in that. And I've just always had a soft spot for this actor. He seems to just do great whenever he's on screen.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a whole lot of stuff. I know that he was in was it Spartacus? He was in that for a while as like a Roman.
Oh,
kinda,
right.
Like
the bloodiest, most pornographic TV show ever made.
Yeah. And he was, I can't think of the film. I know he's been in a few other things. He's a good character actor for sure. He has a distinct face, but he's, when he pops up, he's good. But this was his kind of big film moment, right? I don't think he's had any other big film moments.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I would need to look.
Yeah. I love this. Like, if
One
you're
of the
paying
things
attention.
I like the way that the exposition is done in this movie.
Well, this
Um,
movie
it
does
delivers
something.
it in these small bursts.
Yeah. Well, and I love it when exposition is done during a scene where it seems natural. Where, I mean, there's so many movies
Yeah.
that make the mistake of it. It seems like the movie stops when there's exposition, like the movie's not moving any further. It's like, okay, we got to just stop and talk for a while. But this, when you put exposition in a scene like this, that is a very natural setting for what they're talking about, it just feels better. You don't lose your energy in the movie because, I mean, yeah, of course they found this thing. They're already there at the museum. Yeah, they would stop and talk about it, and they're in his office talking about it, which makes perfect sense. And then go into the transition right to the prison here. This is such a great reintroduction to Brendan Fraser. This whole scene is so amazing, and this warden, oh my gosh, he's so good. You could accuse him of being kind of a cultural stereotype that might be bad, but I find him so funny, and he's not meant to be like an insult to the culture. He's just meant to be, I think, a caricature of just kind of your like shady run of the prison guy. Which trust me, in the 1920s,
Well,
none of those guys were.
that was one of the things that was brought up in a lot of the interviews and reviews for this movie from the time, is that they said that it was a very racist movie against the Middle East with all the stereotypes. And the thing is, it's only him.
Yeah.
Like, you have the standard kind of mob, but that appear that don't really have much character to them at all. But you have the curator and you have Arded Bey and this guy as the three prime examples of the Middle Eastern characters, and he's the stereotype. The other two were like shown as being very smart, competent people. So it really annoyed me when I read that review, because I'm like, you have one dude who's gross and a dick.
She just steps right over him.
And
yeah. Well, and I think I always took that as less a caricature or an insult to the culture. I took that as more of the position of somebody who's in a position of authority and is abusing it, which happens all over the world to this day, but especially 100 years ago when this movie's set, was very, very common. And it's just how it worked back then, and it worked that way in most cultures, not just this.
Well, and having lived in the Middle East myself, okay, he is a very good representation of the annoying side of some Middle Eastern cultures. He really, because every culture has their annoying people, their obnoxious people, and they're all going to be a little bit different. He is a pretty good example of an annoying Middle Eastern guy.
Yeah.
The loud, boisterous, looking for deals, bartering, constantly yelling "Yalla," all that. Like, that is the equivalent of, any American country guy that you're gonna see in any movie who's like, "Oh, there's Bubba over here. We need to go do this thing. Oh, my grandpappy, blah blah blah."
Oh, everybody's got that.
He fits that role.
Well,
and
go ahead.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
I love it. I don't think that it's some sort of racist thing.
No.
I think he is a realistic stereotype that is over dramatized.
Yeah, I think that they were just trying to have fun with him. So, do you know the story about this scene?
Yes, I do. They actually dropped him. And they almost killed
he
him.
absolutely passed out. It's like,
yeah.
Again, in Brendan Fraser's commentary, he says, "So Stephen Sommers has this story about this sequence. I'm going to tell you my version of it, and my version of it is you are watching somebody actually choke here." He's like, "You will see my eyes roll back, and that was not me acting."
Yep. And this is one of those things where it's just like,
yeah, right there. He's like, "Yep, that was real."
Yeah. Because the thing is, part of the rig when he fell also ended up tightening a little bit too much. And was supposedly there was like a legitimate risk that he could have injured his neck. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
But poor guy, like, damn.
The other thing I kind of think about with the warden, just to finish up thoughts on that, every single character in this movie is kind of a caricature. They're all slightly exaggerated. Everybody's a little over the top, stereotypical. So it's a we are. I mean, the Americans are being poked fun at in this. You know, the British characters are very British, but also, I mean, like it's that type of a movie. It's not. It would be different if everybody was played straight, except the one Egyptian guy was like, you know, way over the top. You know what I mean? And I think that also factors into the intent of the filmmakers. If you're kind of choosing to look at it that way, I feel like, okay, you may see that, but is that what the filmmakers were trying to do? And I think if you're being fair, this movie is full of just being funny, over the top, you know, cliches and stereotypes.
And leaning into
and
stereotypes so heavily. I specifically think of the American, the blonde one, who's like obsessed with bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's that whole like, give me a bourbon and then a shot of bourbon and a bourbon chaser.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's no guy out there who's actually gonna be like that outside of like some frat boy who doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But it works for this because this is an old 1930s comic book or serial.
Yeah.
You know? And nothing more. And I love that. Though her penciled on eyebrows are very distracting.
Yeah. This whole thing of like the hook guy here. Oh my gosh. I always wondered like how
like
practical.
Straight up Indiana Jones.
Yeah. But really, like, would you want to give up the use of your hand to have a fixed hook? Like, wouldn't just a good knife be way more effective?
I thought that he was supposed to be like one-handed.
Oh, like he actually like lost his hand, and so that's okay.
Yeah, that's how I always took it.
Huh? I never thought of that. I always thought that was some kind of like. Go ahead.
You know my thing about ninjas?
You're a huge fan. You love it every time they show up in films. You can't get enough of them.
I hate ninjas. They suck. They're stupid. So the funny thing is, a lot of what we perceive as classical ninjas comes nothing from Japan. They had the ninja, they had the shinobi and stuff like that, but they looked very different. A lot of them were like women. They would dress in large, voluminous robes or completely in disguise. There was none of these guys running around in, you know, tight black things with the toe shoes jumping around and stuff like that. It's a complete farce. But what there was Hasashins, which is where we get the word assassin. And they were from the Middle East, and they did ninja shit. And they were like the actual ninjas in the past. And this is very much an obvious over-the-top version of that. But I don't know, I like this more than like your classical ninja thing. Even though they kind of fill that same role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my son and I, sorry, yeah, I agree with you, and I like the Medjai for the most part in this film too. This whole, I love his bag. I love the aesthetic of just the, you know, his outfit, his holsters. They really got that, you know, just even like down to like his shirt, the cut of it and everything. It's just very classic, you know.
Oh, yeah,
serial.
He's Nathan Drake before Nathan Drake.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
they even straight up said that they used the underarm slings for Nathan Drake based off of Rick O'Connell.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Connor and I were my son and I were joking though that he actually has an inventory because he keeps his bag on him at all, you know, all the time. He keeps it close, so he's a video game character who has an inventory. See, it makes sense.
It's Leon Kennedy hauling around his briefcase full of guns.
But yeah, and I love it. Yeah, he's got his 2 revolvers, but he's got, you know, just just a classic original, you know, Colt 1911 there.
Yeah, but he has like a bunch of things because there was a shotgun in there, right? Because it was like a Winchester model 1897, which is one of my absolute favorite guns of all time, and I want one so bad.
Oh, it's one of the classic Winchesters.
Oh well, I know that there is a recreation of a Winchester, a model 1897, hanging in a local gun shop with actual wooden furniture on it. Though it does have a heat guard, unlike this one, and I can't afford to just go buying a random little toy, but I want it so badly. But that's me. But yeah,
this whole reintroduction scene here between him and Benny is just great. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
it's just their comedic interactions. Like it's not just 1 or 2 pairings of this cast that have like chemistry. They all have chemistry.
Yeah.
This shit is like,
Goodbye, Benny.
bye, Benny.
Like he knows that this is his competition, you know?
Yep. Well, and, he doesn't kill him. He just, he's like, he'll be fine. He's going to swim back on, he can get back on the ship. But then
In fact, he probably
right here,
saved him.
yeah. Oh yeah, he might have. Yeah, but the fact that he like checks here, like, wait a minute, you're still down in the water, right? I like that.
Yeah.
Man,
Because,
I definitely had a crush on Rachel Weisz for a year or two thanks to this.
I mean, how can you not?
She's so but
and-
she's so adorable too. Like she's the right amount of both very smart and and she definitely contributes significantly to this story. Yet at the same time, she does kind of have that like kind of ditzy cuteness going on. She really hits the balance well in this film.
Yeah, she's the best version of like the damsel, because she's the classic damsel in distress love interest for an adventurer, but they also make her competent, they make her intelligent, but she's obviously not perfect either. She has good like heroic moments, but she's not it's not overly done, like right there she's competent, she acts in the moment.
She's not paralyzed whenever
She's not helpless.
Yeah. They do constantly keep her though in outfits that are like, I can get behind that. I mean, I'm not trying to be whatever, but like they definitely keep her in dresses a lot. I'll put it that way.
Yes, because there's this, and then they move her immediately to the black Bedouin dress.
Yeah.
Which I think that it's one of those. I consider it a really good costuming choice because it is beautiful, it is very attractive, but it's not salacious.
Yeah.
It's not
Keep that
overly gross. Like this is the most.
Well, she's in a nightgown right now.
Yeah, but it's a realistic nightgown. It's not sheer. We're not like seeing all this stuff.
I love that moment.
Like a Noxuna moon.
Yeah.
But yeah, weird pistols though. You're right, because those I had to look this up. They're Camelot Devine.
It's super
Delvine,
distinct.
Sorry, Camelot
I can't-
Delvine 1873s.
Yeah, I can't think of another example in any big movie that they've had those exact pistols. They're very distinct. I love that this bag doesn't immediately just sink.
Yeah, because it wouldn't.
Well, the amount of leather and canvas, it would take a little while, but it's just that bag would be heavy. This is a good. He has the classic. He can take a hit. I mean, this film was definitely guilty of a lot of the same things a lot of other adventure films are. He doesn't ever have a bruise. He can take an absurd amount of hits. He has 4 times as many shots in his revolvers as he actually would. Stuff like that. But you know what? You just don't care because it's this type of film. And this is every type of film like this. It's like you just go with it. This was funny. Just the moment here, the beat they give this before he's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's great.
The
the introduction
amount
of the
of
Americans.
dual wielding in this movie is insane.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody has ever tried firing a gun into like akimbo, okay, a gun in both hands, it is so impractical. It is so useless, but it's done like at least 8 people do like dual shooting through this movie.
He just fired 12 times. Just like he sat there and just like hand. I counted this.
Well, he had 2 6-shooters, so obviously he unloaded
but,
one.
but he dropped one at the beginning of the scene. He dropped one and then did the whole fan fire. There was just I mean, again, I honestly like. There are movies where that kind of thing really bothers me. I don't care in this kind of film because this is to quote Harrison Ford, it's not that kind of movie, kid.
But yeah, you were right. That gun doesn't pop up a lot compared to others. Where I remember it is actually it's the gun of Sherlock Holmes in the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies.
Oh, really? I haven't seen those in quite a while. So,
so good.
Yeah,
love those movies. Great action films and just actually really good Sherlock Holmes movies. Especially the first one is a really good Sherlock Holmes story.
Yeah. And these guys just the constant jabs back and forth. Oh gosh.
Yeah, so I didn't know this until I saw this movie with subtitles that Benny is supposed to be Hungarian.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't want all the camels.
and yeah, but this right here, this is not a. This is not. I would not consider any part of this sequence like racist stereotypes. This is just kind of how it is.
Yeah.
Especially with the bartering. Bartering in the Middle
absolutely.
East is nuts.
I mean, nobody expects to not do it. Like, it's weird if you don't do it.
Yeah. Wow, they sell really good makeup in the Middle East,
They
apparently.
really do. Yeah,
They get the smoky eye thing going.
yeah.
But yeah, like look at the bandana and the shirt and the underarm holsters. That is Nathan Drake
Yeah.
from Uncharted 3. They definitely copied O'Connell for that one.
Yeah, as much as I love all those games, the amount of credit that Indiana Jones, The Mummy, and Lara Croft need to get for the Uncharted games is off the chart. It's like
You can't forget Romancing the Stone.
okay, yeah. So I've seen the movie once. I know it's important, but I just haven't. It's not a movie that I've seen enough to like
Right.
think about. But yeah, you're right. That is also important. Again, the music kicks in here. Just this great adventure
music-
score.
So good. I mean, Jerry Goldsmith, one of the last movies that Jerry Goldsmith did before he died.
Yeah, he's
Which is funny. He hated the movie.
really
It's why he didn't return for the sequel. He thought it was trash.
interesting because I mean he was involved in a lot of. I mean he did Stargate.
Yeah.
So he was
And,
he was responsible for the two big, Egyptian inspired kind of big fantasy films. I would almost call Stargate more fantasy than sci-fi, but yeah.
Really?
No, I take that back. I said that out loud and I immediately was like, not really. It's science fiction about everything in the future, but it also, gets into I don't know. It's a weird combination.
So
but it is
all
more
of
science.
this.
But anyways, Jerry Goldsmith is sorry, I'll really fastly say just he's somebody who John Williams deserves the credit he gets, but Jerry Goldsmith, especially in this era in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, is just so great.
Yeah.
In the 70s also,
But-
actually. He did a lot of stuff in the 70s.
Yeah. But these on location shoots, it's, Morocco. So all the big desert scenes and sequences that we see, it's not Egypt. Or today it'd be filmed in places like Jordan, Wadi Rum, Israel, things like that. But this is Morocco.
Yeah, is it just that part of the world just became too dangerous to shoot in?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's way cool sometimes.
Yeah. Why don't you go back to Lawrence of Arabia and some of the big stuff from back in the day, and they were all shot in Africa, and you just don't see that much anymore.
It's a rough place.
This whole sequence
Occasionally.
is I always found this just kind of funny that we're racing there, but you if you know right where it is, but you have to wait for this somehow. Like they kind of imply that you need to wait to see it to get there, but they obviously know right where it is.
Yep. Well, they haven't done the whole race thing, and they need to know for certain. I guess it's a big deal. It's dramatic timing.
Oh yeah, it is. Although it definitely exaggerates how powerful mirages can be with the level of what gets hidden here. But it is a great effect. It's very cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Egyptians, they were weird about hiding stuff, and so if they could figure out the exact right geographical coordinates that would allow them to hide something in a mirage,
Yeah.
it'd be really cool.
You find it interesting that every person, realistically, are wearing hats except our kind of three main heroes, O'Connell, his sister and brother. Everybody else has hats except, I mean, Jonathan does have his British hat for part of it, but it was
And you had
I think it was
him with
a deliberate
the
choice.
scarf on earlier.
Well, I was thinking that it was a real choice to not have. I wonder. I'm sure there's a costume design concept for putting a hat on Brendan Fraser. It's definitely unrealistic that he'd be out in the desert like this without one, but it also does make him distinct from the Americans specifically, than a lot of other people. Just to have kind of his big, because he has that big '90s hair going, right.
Yeah, but yeah, they would definitely be doing that specifically so you can identify the hero.
Yeah. And also, I do think that might have been a decision to keep him distinct from Indy.
Yeah, he's not Indiana Jones. I mean, what else are they going to put him in? Are they going to put a bowler hat?
What other style
hat,
hat could you put him in? But a fedora style hat, and then I mean, yeah, that would be
tricorn.
Oh gosh. Oh. Well, and the fact that he is supposed to be American, but he's different than the Americans. And I love that later we have the scene down in the where they're talking smack about the Americans, but every time they say something like "no offense," because they're like, sorry, we know you're an American too.
Like honestly, there's that whole thing of like, okay, does this guy look like Josh Brolin to you?
I would call him like kind of a poor man's Josh Brolin.
Yeah. I had a joke. Imagine if they decided to put him in like a Stetson.
Oh gosh. I mean, yeah. He works though. I think he wouldn't have. It's funny because we are in the '90s. You had in the early '90s. Like I just was watching Speed the other night. And Keanu has that very short haircut. And a lot of actors had that, kind of really short haircut. And then I'm glad they went with Brendan Fraser, kind of giving, because he's got a great big full head of hair, and it helps that he let him have, just that full hair. Versus, I think he would have looked really bad if they had tried to go short.
Yeah,
it
like
gives
having that kind of like
character.
Mission Impossible 2 Tom Cruise. Look,
which was, I mean, just the very next summer. So yeah, it was going in that direction.
Yeah, so I genuinely think that this is like some of the best action movie hair.
Oh, it's great.
It's just right for being believable for the time that it's in, but it's also not like absurd. It's not overly stylized, but it's not like that crew cut look from Speed, which they didn't even like. In Speed,
no,
they wanted him to have his Bill and Ted hair, but then he showed up for filming and his hair was super short, and they didn't want to wig him. It started a trend.
I love that we're 40 minutes in. We've just gotten. They take their time getting back to the Mummy, which I like that they let you have a couple good action sequences, everything on the boat, introduced to the characters, and then we have a whole nother kind of sequence going here as we're escaping the tomb and all that, the Magi attacking in a little while. Like they really, the Mummy himself is really only in the last third of this film as a direct antagonist. They really let this be a lot of discovery and a lot of other fun character stuff besides just them fighting the Mummy, so to speak.
Yeah, there's a lot of good build up in this thing, for sure.
Well, I think that that's also smart, because I think that trying to sustain conflict with Imhotep directly for 2 hours, I think would have actually been it wouldn't have worked as well.
Agreed. Yeah, very much agree. Again, he's doing the Akimbo thing, and one of them is.
Yeah, I love Jonathan's little derringer, his little little two shot he's got.
Yeah. Because like they Jonathan like gives her the tools and everything, and now he stole them because he's just a little rogue.
Back and forth, guns up, guns down.
Shoot each other all the time.
And again, the exchanges are such an interesting mixture of very kind of modern. They're not speaking. I'm assuming people in the 1920s didn't speak quite like this. But it just it works, and it's funny, and I think that it lets it be lighthearted enough while also still keeping tension going. That's hard to do because you can try to be overly funny and you actually lose tension. But you can also be so like focused on tension that you like the jokes feel kind of forced. And I really think that this movie deserves a lot of credit for balancing that well, for being just fun without being stupid.
Yeah. So this was a scene that I actually realized was very subtle in the storytelling. Like they want to dig where they are. And she looks down and notices that there's a chamber underneath. And she kicks the little things and she hears them echo. And I don't know, I didn't pick up on that until I was older and watching this. And I'm like, oh, so what just happened in that scene and why it was notable is that she's like, I know how to get what they're going for. And we actually should be digging elsewhere anyway, so let's just give them this site.
Yeah.
No,
I remember that. I mean, that's something that I've always kind of remember looking at. But yeah, it's I'll briefly touch on this. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. But for the 90s, she's another fantastic example of, we already touched on this earlier, of a good balance of, she's not your helpless damsel. She's not your overpowered girl boss. She really is a fun balance of being competent and does genuinely drive the plot forward several times because of her contribution to the adventure. And it's that's another great example of like, she's the reason why they were able to to accomplish what they do here, and it all fits, and it feels natural based on the character they build for her. And then you get to also just have this funny bit, with the just this. Oh, what's funny is that they're just like taking a break here, I guess. He's like playing golf with
break.
her enthusiasm for describing this horrific act. But then like, no, you'd be dead. It's okay. And Brendan Fraser's response here, the timing of the dropping, it's great. This is all comedy gold.
Yeah, very very well timed, very well acted. This is part of me just like liking kind of classic storytelling. She is kind of the damsel in distress at times in this movie, and I actually kind of like that. I like a classic damsel.
Well, there's nothing wrong with it when it's done well. I think that's the thing is that if she was along and her only purpose was to get saved, it would be annoying. But there's also nothing wrong with characters ending up in situations where they need help. Like, that's a good thing. And there are situations where, there are situations where Brendan Fraser character, he needs help. But anyways, okay.
Here, like her pulling him out of the way of the bullets. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I want to talk about this. There's just this awful scene. For anybody who doesn't like bugs. Yeah. Like, you knew from the beginning that this guy's just along to die. Like, even as a kid, I knew that. Like, oh, he's there literally just so they can kill him later. The pretty good visual effect on it.
Yeah. Well, and again, the I would never call this movie a horror film, but this is like, dude, that's horrific. Like, the idea of going, like, having that happen to you. There's nothing like, oh, it's just funny. Like, no, that would be a horrible way to die.
But yeah, they pull the He Who Shall Not Be Named, and this is when Harry Potter was first picking up steam. So this was before He Who Shall Not Be Named was a Voldemort reference. Which I thought was pretty funny. Because these days most people would see a He Who Shall Not Be Named and think Voldemort.
Well, and it's unfortunately, things that become cliches later. When you're using them before they're cliches, it's you got to.
I want to talk about this upcoming stunt, okay, of him running headlong into the wall. They planned it out meticulously, almost to the millimeter. How did they film that?
Well, I'm assuming. Well, I think if you were asking me how I would do that, I would actually have him on a line that was exactly correct. That it would stop him and then paint it out digitally. But I'm assuming how
they had him on a line that would have it so that it stopped exactly. The brick was coated in a foam. Like enough of a foam that if he actually hit it, it wouldn't hurt him, but if he hit it, it also wouldn't show deformity.
Yeah.
But they had him on a line that was tested down to the millimeter, and he had to just like have faith that they got it correct. Ran at the thing head first and apparently stopped like a millimeter from the thing and bounced back. Which is just nuts. Like the trust.
I mean, and I think that you have to. That's where to do a good stunt though, you have to have that faith, that trust in the team, right? Because the thing that will ruin a stunt more than anything else is kind of pulling it a little bit, not fully committing to it. And so
Yeah.
And the way to be able to fully commit to it is to trust whatever the system or rig or whatever it is that was set up for you to be able to do it and make it look as good as possible while still being safe. So, yeah.
Yeah. I love the fake out with the broken bottle with Jonathan.
It is really good. Well, you saw him put a bunch of
carrots.
those in the bag. I mean, it's
Yeah. I genuinely thought that they were going to kill Jonathan in this movie. Like, the first time I watched it, I was waiting for his character to get killed off.
I mean, his reactions while he's drinking and he's like he's got one of O'Connell's 1911s. I'm guessing because his name was a little Derringer. The spit take. Oh, it's all great. This is a nice little It's a nice little action scene because they're giving us a little bit. This is a quick little sequence. It's not that long, but they're kind of reminding you the Magi are here. They're kind of keeping the stakes up. They're telling you they're letting these two finally meet, right?
It's establishing them as like proper rivals.
Yeah, but it's just enough to kind of give the movie a little burst of energy, but also at the same time progress the story. It's a welcome little couple minutes here of action.
Yeah, agreed. And it's just Steven Sommers should have been a better director than he is. Like the movies that he went on to do after this, what freaking Van Helsing and G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like he should have done more and better.
Well, and I think this movie, I mean, he was a major writing credit on this film also. I think that this movie does show that it's way more than just the director that makes a movie good or not. But at the same time, a lot of his other films, you can see the parts of them that work are because, he did have good cast and, good talent in a lot of his films. But he couldn't add, I almost wonder if he just was the kind of director who was competent but ultimately didn't add a whole lot himself. It was more that he didn't get in the way when the pieces were all in place, but if they weren't all, that he wasn't. I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked at the deeper list of his DPs and cinematographers and writers and stuff he worked with and editors he worked with on those other films. But yeah, I mean, this movie obviously worked, and it's just he wasn't able to hit this kind of magic again.
What is a place like me doing in a girl like this? My family would quote that to each other all the time.
She's adorable. She really is. And I love that like Rick here is trying to kind of be respectful of her. Like you can see like he's like here when he gets this locket, he kind of tosses it down her blouse without touching her. And then here, when she goes in to kiss him, he's kind of like, he doesn't really, he's trying to not take advantage of her. Like he's trying to be a good guy, but at the same time, he obviously is a red-blooded man who's like, I do find you attractive, but I'm also trying to not be, a total douchebag here.
It's just, even as a kid, I got this feeling, especially the whole, "Oh, you always did have more balls than brains" line from Benny. That I am a librarian. But it's just, you get this feeling, to me anyway, that this is a guy who is trying to change because he was that guy who could get anybody, but he really likes this one, and he's trying not to be a lecherous James Bond womanizer. but he's also not against it, as you
Yeah.
see here.
Yeah, he's like, because I mean,
like,
not to be graphic, but I mean, he could have easily taken advantage of her here, and it's not even remotely implied that he did or was going to. So, yeah, I think that you can see that he is trying to be better, and I think too that just she is played well as just somebody who is sweet but vulnerable, but also like the kind of woman that you'd want to have a relationship, not just a quick fling with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that their chemistry works really well for that. Do you think this guy on the dollar store, Josh Brolin, um, do you think that he's supposed to be an Indiana Jones archetype?
I mean, kind of. He definitely has that. I mean, he's got the hero face. He's got the hero jaw, right? He's got the hat.
Mm-hmm.
He has probably the most action out of all the American. Again, we call them the Americans, even though obviously Rick O'Connell's an American. But I mean, I think so. I think a little bit of that, a little bit of Michael Douglas, a little bit of, I forget who's the main actor in King Solomon's Mines. That's Alan something, right?
Alan Quartermain.
Alan Quartermain, a little bit of that. Your classic adventurers. I think that he's meant to be the most classic adventurer out of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's also just like he's by far like, for lack of better terms, the prettiest, right?
Yeah, he's the most like action hero looking because you have, you have the nerdy guy and everything like that. He's actually he is in one of the coolest action sequences ever filmed. Oh wait, no, that's not him. Never mind. That's one of the other guys. Ignore me. This guy didn't actually really go on to do much, Mr. Hat Guy.
Yeah.
He looks like he retired from acting after like 2012. He was in Paranormal Activity 4.
Well, I would assume. I mean, there are a lot of pretty faces that don't have the charisma, right? I mean, there are. I'm sure there are. For every one Harrison Ford and Brendan Fraser and Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise out there, right? That there are dozens of guys who are just as attractive physically, but just don't have that. Whether it's being a great actor, because it's not always being a great actor. A lot of times it's just being a great character. Having that charisma, that gravitas, that ability to just pull a camera to you. However you want to describe that is much, much harder to find than just somebody who's got a great face. And I would assume that probably that guy's an example of like, yep, you got the face, but you just don't have that it factor that ever would get you far besides just being a glorified extra.
Yeah, that's what it goes sometimes. Because like, the guy with the glasses, the American with the glasses, he went on, he did a whole bunch of stuff in like soap operas and whatnot. But the other guy, the one with the tie, he's in a lot of things. I remember him from being the handler in the first Hellboy movie who gets killed, and he was like Hellboy's best friend. And then he was in like he was the preacher in the evil church in Kingsman. And that actually
right.
really like amazing action sequence, but actually like a disgusting scene.
Yeah.
When you really break down what's going on there. But he's been in tons of things and all kinds of stuff.
This book, by the way, is a great prop. Like the prop department. I mean, across the board, there are great props in this movie. But the Book of the Dead, I think, really they nailed it. It really gets sold as being metal and just ornate and amazing. When they open it, the way that the hinges, each hinge is kind of like stacking in, and I've always liked the prop quite a bit. I thought it was very cool, and the distinct key kind of inset for it just gives it something that almost is akin to like it became like a logo of this film almost. I think they used it in marketing. They did. That symbol, and it worked really well.
Mm-hmm. So these canopic jars, it's really interesting. I don't know why, but for some reason they decided let's make 5 of them when canopic jars were only ever put in 4s. But they made a 5th for some reason.
Yeah. Well, these like scarab, like skeleton, like remains or whatever, but they look like kind of like wooden. I guess they're like fossilized or something. I did
Yeah,
find
they're
it
supposed
interesting.
to be like fossilized chitin.
Yeah, it's like you know, Frisky with the Pharaoh's daughter. You're
Yeah.
close. You're close.
Yeah, but like she talks about here the curse of the Humdai, and it's there's no such thing as that. But some other cultures did have these ideas of curses that were put upon traders and such, so that they would live for all eternity in a kind of like a wakeful death that they could never rise from. And if they ever did rise again, you had to kill them. A lot of like vampire and zombie myths come out of them and things like that. It's very interesting.
Okay, this scene, this is a nitpick. I always thought they should have done like a replacement scene here. The idea of just taking this book would have been freaking heavy, by the way. To take this book
Yeah.
and not have this guy wake up, I just thought was always a little all right. Like they could have had a fun little gag of like replacing it with something. I know that's been done in plenty of movies, but the fact that he didn't wake up until later, I always thought was just a little bit like, really?
I like him holding the book.
Brendan Fraser's finger is just full on in like sorry, his trigger finger just like resting on that
Yeah.
trigger right now.
That's literally what I was trying to say, and I couldn't get the words out. I like that he was laying there with the gun, finger on the trigger, ready, but like I never noticed how badly his finger is on the trigger in that last scene.
My kids kept pointing out this is a movie where like the cliche of like the fire and the wind, you know, and it's spooky. That
Yeah,
but the characters are all like aware of it. My kids kept going
Yeah.
like, if that kept happening for real, I would be noping out of there so fast. Oh gosh. So here we go.
well, they haven't seen any movies yet.
Yeah, that's true.
The special effects here are incredible,
Oh, for the
especially for
time.
the time.
Oh yeah.
And they were like using it almost like as a test bed for all the Jar Jar Binks stuff going on. And so like, oh, you know, let's work on stuff with the mummy, and if it works out with the mummy there, then let's, you know, make sure that it works with our Jar Jar Binks stuff and all that. Oh yeah, the locust.
Yeah. I thought
They actually used real locust for one of the scenes with later here when it's on the Egyptologist's shoulders.
yeah.
Real
you can
locust
tell.
that they had put in a fridge.
To kind of calm down.
Yeah, like right here. In order to keep them still, they'd been like partially frozen,
Yeah.
and they just digitally added in the flying ones.
Okay, it's interesting to me that they're like going with like the Egyptian biblical plagues, but there's no other connection,
Yeah.
you know, to the biblical history in this, other than the brief, you know, later when he starts speaking Hebrew and he's like, the language of the slaves, but that they kind of go through all the biblical plagues here, which is interesting that they like kind of mixed that mythology into. You think that was just for the sake of kind of the Western audience, that they would just recognize those as plagues, even though they have like no connection to this mythology whatsoever, other than it's Egypt?
Well, the biblical plagues are like a huge thing because no matter what you believe about religion, there's factual evidence of events correlating very similar to the plagues, and the plagues of Egypt are still something that's talked about it's still culturally relevant in Egypt and other places. It's so outside of like certain Eastern audiences, it's so recognizable to everyone, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean,
That
I
think
feel like
that-
they
And
just
it's
kind of threw them in.
visually cool.
Yeah. Well, I think it's similar to, you know, at the very beginning, the putting, you know, all of Egypt's recognizable landmarks into one city, which is, you know, absurd if you actually understand where they are. But it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because it's just about this is Egyptian iconography.
Iconography.
Iconography. I can speak.
Iconography.
And similar to that, the biblical plagues are also just kind of in that same category. It's just, you know, people associate them with Egypt, and that's all you need for the audience.
Exactly. I always loved him just like shooting them.
Yeah.
And like these perfectly placed little pillars that allow him to just Oh yes, we could jump right across here, don't you know?
And of course, you got the hidden trapdoor.
Oh, I
Oh,
love hidden trapdoor stuff. It's a favorite.
so
Um,
I love that she accidentally triggered that, but
mhm.
Rick can't. It's just again. I mean, it's just going through just a lot of these fun little. The fact that there's so much light down here.
Where's the light coming
Yeah,
from? The
this
same
is like
place as the
it would be
music.
so dark.
Yeah.
This was an effective. See, I remember as even in high school, being like, "Oh man, this creeped me out" when they show the shot here.
Yeah, it's like
This guy with the eyes missing.
yeah, which is like there was something about that. It was like really strange. It was like um the tenderized meat from inside somebody's fridge or something like that.
Yeah,
Um that they ended up using for that scene. Or it was something like that. One of the visual effects artists did a thing for I think it was Corridor Crew and they talked about it.
Hmm.
Oh no, I want to find that.
I
Um
always thought this was funny. It's funny without even telling my kids. They thought of the same thing. So is this mummy walking
mhm.
around with blurry vision because he got like some bad eyes from this guy that barely could see?
I know, right?
This mummy, like
Um
he needs glasses. He just has trouble recognizing things. I mean,
I
obviously
was
not,
wondering
but
the
it'd just
same
be
thing.
funny.
I don't know. It's a funny thought.
Yeah.
So they were told that there couldn't be any gore in this movie. So they actually had like a production company like liaison to constantly be testing the grossness factor during designing and rendering to make sure that they weren't crossing the lines. Um, as you know, Brian, their rule with this mummy is that this wasn't a man fumbling around covered in bandages.
Yes. Well, they succeeded.
What? And why do we say that?
Uh, I, I'm not sure exactly. Okay, go ahead.
Well, okay, so we were talking about this a little bit beforehand. There's this production diaries on this thing, and the director repeats like 4 times through this thing. Like, there's no, mummy wandering around in covered in bandages. That we're leaving all that behind. He says it literally like 4 or 5 times throughout his making of documentaries. Like that was their
That's
gold
right.
standard.
Sorry, it
No
is.
lumbering around bandage man.
That's right. It's been a while since I've watched that particular behind the scenes. It's probably been years and years,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do remember that now that you say it out loud. But it's they are effective at the mummy being. I mean, again, especially after just watching the old one, that he is
Yeah.
physically a threat. He just and he is a like he reacts to being shot. Obviously, you're not going to kill him, but he has that. There's also a lot of them. I was going to comment. We have our first of several Rick O'Connell yells, which I really enjoy. Brendan Fraser. I mean, it's one of the comedy bits in this that I I find particularly entertaining. Watching
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser just scream, and I mean, there's one later at the end that is my absolute favorite. I'll point out when we get there, but.
Yeah.
I like
I know
too
Shrek,
that
was
here
a good
that
one.
we show him back in that room where they pulled the jars out. Like you can kind of recognize where he is a little bit.
Yeah,
If
like
you've been paying
the
attention.
mummy would be going there in order to get the book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The absolute terror that he has in the scene. And he has to be acting to like a tennis ball.
Oh yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
He's acting to nothing here, and here he's just looking at he's looking at a tennis ball. He's got a camera. The effect here, there are parts of this movie where I feel like that the effects work of the time does show its age. The Mummy looks good though. Like even here, looking at this thing, I mean, I'm watching on an OLED screen, very nice display, and this Mummy looks good. I mean, you can see the textures aren't quite as rich as a modern effect, but he doesn't look bad at all.
No, it looks. I think he looks great personally. I think that the effects have really aged well
Well, and
in several spots.
they had to
Not
have
all
used some mocap, right, for his movement, or is he entirely hand animated?
He is mocapped, but like not on set.
Yeah.
They took him into like a special thing. It's actually one of the first motion capture uses. Motion capture was especially used during the production of Star Wars Episode 1. And thus, because ILM was doing this, they carried it over to this. They had actually a couple people that were working on both at the same time. I always loved that hand bit, but even as a kid, I wondered, why didn't he just take the stairs?
Yeah, I think that was just that's one of those that you just you storyboard that shot. You want that shot of the hand out of the sand as they're fleeing in terror, kind of a thing, and you just go with it because every now and then a specific shot is more important than the logic of why it would or wouldn't work, and that's one of those. Just a classic shot. I do like they're right there. They introduce the cat. You see it briefly, so when it shows up later, it's not out of the blue. And this whole packing
you don't
and
establish where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the I told you so conversation.
Yeah. I love good bickering.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes it's badly done. Sometimes it's great.
Typewriter. Sorry. Oh man.
Right. Like again, like this is exposition technically. They're reminding the audience of the rules, but they're doing it in such a fun way,
Well, and I also yeah, it's reminding you of everything, but also I feel like this is a realistic character moment where somebody like him would absolutely come back and just be like, "We are in this mess because of your choices." And I'm kind of pissed about it because now I have to deal with this.
Yeah. But also there's this whole thing of like the whole contract terminated and all that stuff. But you can also tell like he cares.
Yeah.
And he wants to stay. He wants to help.
See, they get to really they get some real shots in at the British here.
Oh my gosh, so much. But yeah, this like old World War I pilot. So
He walks through the fountain twice. I love that when he gets introduced to it, and then again, and then obviously you can tell from their reaction that they're all very familiar with him. He puts the key away to make sure it's not seen. Just and the fact that he just assumes this drink's for him. The subtle that they like basically like mouth the line he just gave there because they've heard it so many times. Again, it's good. They're establishing that character in a very short amount of time. They're really telling you all you need to know about him.
Again, this is a movie that I think should be studied. I think that this is a movie that Marvel needs to look at for how to move forward with their current movies and be like, this is how you give exposition. This is how you establish characters. This is how you like just kind of do things that's fun and quippy without being too forced,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, it's very up there. It's well, and you can Marvel. I mean, the best Marvel movies are genuinely funny, along with being very exciting and entertaining and having stakes and having heart and all that stuff. And they definitely got locked into repeating a certain style too much. And this movie, which is this is what Iron Man was 2008. So this is 9 years before Iron Man was able to introduce. Kind of constant jokey, quippy lines throughout the whole thing without ever coming across as stupid or cheesy or forced. And but it's you don't have to. There's more than one way to do that. But Marvel seemed to have kind of forgotten that there's more than one way to do that.
Yeah, more than one way to skin a cat.
Also, too, when you make that many movies, you don't need to do the same thing over and over again.
Well, a lot of people say that the true beginning of the constant quippiness came out of Guardians of the Galaxy 1. We've got problems.
So as much as Whedon gets blamed for that, you think it's actually more James Gunn that deserves a little bit of really?
I think it's very much both. I think it is Avengers mixed with Guardians because I think that Guardians 1 was kind of trying to be Avengers and copied a lot of that style, and he did it really well. I almost want to call it Nathan Fillion style.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of that big bridge between those two.
True. This whole, the... oh, man. I always felt bad. I always felt worse for that guy than the other ones.
Yeah, because he always seemed like kind of nice. You know, they picked the American characters picked on him a little bit and such.
Yeah. Well, and
Um,
he was the one that had the toolkit that he stole, so he was obviously the one like interested in the a little more intelligent level, not just adventure.
yeah,
I also
he
like
was the brains.
yeah, I also like how they slowly make the mummy start to become more lifelike here, as he's absorbing these guys and they do it. This stage I think is really good, where he's just a little more goopy, a little more has more substance to him. The reaction here to the cat is great.
Yeah, and then he calls her a Noxuna and it establishes that quite well. I love the subtle effect of when he's turning into sand and you see the hands in the face. I love that. I think it's a great effect. It's kind of subtle, but it's just right.
And then this makes perfect sense to go back to to him, but then it makes sense. Okay, so he's somebody who would be in league. I mean, it's not crazy out of left field, and it's a fun. Bringing him back versus bringing in somebody brand new here makes sense. Especially when you have an actor as fun as he is.
Yeah. Love the Ancient Secret Society thing. You notice the chariot in the back? It's the one from the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah. He's sitting in like an antique chair.
Of innocent people to stop this creature? Let me think. Yes. Like, they're so cavalier about it, but it's also now establishing these are the good guys.
I love that they're sitting around a display, like in these, like feet on body. You wonder, like, okay, are these all supposed to be real, or are these recreations? Because, man, these guys, the casual, just I'm gonna thumb my my cylinder with my finger on the trigger on this thing. Okay.
Yeah. Like cowboys. Again, this is a sitting around exposition scene, but a lot of people seem to criticize them. I never had any trouble as a stupid kid audience member with these exposition sequences. I thought they were great. I thought they were interesting. Maybe that's me because I'm a giant nerd. But I don't know. I don't know why people were so like
Now,
clumsy exposition scenes. I don't think they're clumsy. I think
there
they're
are
fine.
no, they're fun. There are so many examples of films that are so much worse at exposition scenes.
Yeah.
This movie wouldn't even be on the radar for examples, like poor examples of that, because it's fun when they happen. The dialogue is interesting. It keeps moving. They're set in interesting places. They make sense. I would wholeheartedly disagree with that criticism.
Yeah. But I like the way that they do the biblical darkness, because there's that big question of like, oh, what would that look like,
Well, because an eclipse isn't actual like dark. It's just compared to day. Obviously, you would kind of have that like it's the same kind of thing with the way it happens like on the top of the globe when the sun's like just below the horizon, because you would have the the out of the edges. I do love too how just O'Connell's like taking charge. Everybody else is like, all right, we're going to do things the way you say, because there's somebody that takes charge, and most people will in the situation kind of line up. Yeah. It is a realistic human behavior. Interesting that this guy's out by himself, though. They didn't really ever explain why this guy was on his own, right?
I feel like there's more to this movie. I feel like there's a lot longer cut somewhere, and especially dealing with this Egyptologist. Because this actor, I remember him most from Jumanji, but he's done a lot. He's also dressed a lot like the mummy in the original.
Yeah, he is.
He's got the fez and everything.
Well, now this whole sequence.
Oh, the chair.
It's just great.
It's just,
and this
those of you who don't know, he just threw a chair to stop a guy running away.
This is one of my favorite line deliveries ever here. The came back from the desert with a new friend, didn't you, Benny? Just the delivery is so perfect by Brendan Fraser there, where it's threatening, but it's also hilarious, and just to me that was a very quotable line from this film. Trying to say it the way that Brendan Fraser said it.
I'm immune That's one that my family quoted a lot. The "I am immune," because like we'd be talking about like, oh, stay away from me, you're gonna get sick. Oh, I can't believe you didn't get sick when you were next to somebody who was sick, and she's like, I am immune.
Well, and he is it Kevin O'Connell? Is that the actor's name?
For Benny,
Yeah,
um, Kevin J. O'Connor.
O'Connor. He has like just enough of kind of that like whiny tone in his voice to just add a layer of just goofiness to his lines and making them a little
Yeah.
memorable. But it again, I don't think it's over the top. I think it's just he's just having some fun with it. He definitely delivers it
Yeah.
like he's trying to be funny, which is fine. But again, it fits in the tone of this film along with everything else.
Yeah.
And
He's actually a good friend of Steven Sommers,
mm,
and actually, so is Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser even had a cameo in G.I. Joe: Rise of Cobra. Um, the joke was that he was actually Rick O'Connell's like grandson or great grandson.
oh really?
Um, yeah, that was the joke anyway. But Kevin J. O'Connor was Igor in what's his face's follow up to this, Van Helsing.
Oh really? Van Helsing
Mhm.
is one of those that I saw that movie in theaters, and other than Hugh Grant's, Hugh Jackman's like fully automatic crossbow, I couldn't tell you anything about this movie because I just forgot about it. It was just not memorable at all.
No, it's not a very good movie, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's not the worst ever made, but it's one of those things where like the leads just have zero chemistry. They have the actor who is Faramir in Lord of the Rings, went on to do 300 and stuff, but he
Yeah.
plays this like little nerdy guy, but he's like a pervert
Well,
at the
I mean,
same
you had
time.
Kate Beckinsale and Hugh Jackman are both. I mean, Hugh Jackman more so, I think, but like those aren't bad actors and bad leads by any means. But just there was something about that film. Like I said, to me, the fact that it's just I don't even remember it is almost worse than it being bad or remembering it for being like, oh, the thing was just rough. It just was
Yeah,
totally
all
unmemorable
style
to
over
me.
substance.
Yeah. Ooh, this guy goes
Yeah,
fast.
that was a really good, um, really good death scene. Like that was proper haunting.
Yeah. A little scarab chew there. Now this is
Mhm.
where I do feel like they are, they're kind of trying to pick up the pace. They're trying to keep the energy moving here because they need to get back to Hamanatra, obviously. And I
Mhm.
mean, but they manage to they keep it going here and not make it feel rushed, but also not lag too much.
Yeah, agreed.
Because we're still in the
It-
second
the-
act here, right? You would consider this?
Yeah. This is very much the second act. It's almost a four-act movie with the prologues because they have like two different prologues.
Yeah, it's a long.
Um,
beginning.
yeah. But this, I actually kind of was bummed with the design of the mummy. I really liked I really liked his look in between when he killed the Egyptologist and the other one,
And we barely had
the
any of that,
bourbon
yeah.
guy, because like I loved the look on that one, and then he but it's only for literally two scenes.
Yeah, they move really fast, and that's where I feel like they did. I'm sure you mentioned earlier. There's probably a longer cut of this movie somewhere because I mean you could easily make this a 2.5 hour, 3 hour film, but I think that they realized like 2 hours is kind of the sweet spot for an action adventure movie. Let's just kind of get this thing moving. And as much as it would have been fun in individual, I think that you would have had a lot of cool individual things you could have done in the middle of this movie. But overall, the movie probably would have dragged a little bit if you had spent
Yeah.
too much time there.
No, you're right. You're right.
But
Um,
I hear you because I think those could have been fun scenes. But then you would have just eventually been like, all right, when are we actually going to get to like the solution?
Yeah.
This is weird because it's like the extras are like out of focus here for a second.
Again, that's part of it because some of these extras apparently didn't take direction super well. and Stephen Summers had a lot of problems with him. Several of them had to have their eyes digitized because they wouldn't stop looking at the camera.
So, okay, Boils and Sores is the plague, but he's just like hypnotized these guys, or is some kind of just magic going on?
I guess.
Yeah. Oh, there's that one guy with just totally whited out eyes there. Yeah.
Yeah. And you see that later. There's a guy when they're carrying the one dude. I think they're hauling Benny along or something like that, and that was one of them.
I feel like there's a couple scenes in this movie where they are having one or two characters, say something important, and the other main actors are kind of standing there. Like, they do have a little bit of that feel of like, I'm not really sure what to be doing right now. I'm just kind of standing here watching you, but,
Yeah. Not right now, is it?
Yep.
That's one that I quote to my wife all the time, and because my family would quote it, but
she doesn't appreciate it as much.
She doesn't know the movie. She didn't grow up with it.
Oh gosh.
She watched it once with me.
But I was just about to ask,
it.
have you shown this to her, and what did she think?
Showing this to her, she thought it was fun. She liked the character of Rick O'Connell. But showing this to her is literally the reason why I was just like, I want to do this on Doors and Corners. We need to put in The Mummy. But it also made me want to watch the 2017 Mummy, and I'm like, oh, this movie is awful, but it was so close to good. And I want to talk about this one too. Let's just do all the mummies. Yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute. Mummy Month. And so now we're in Mummy Month.
The other question I kept asking myself the first time or two I saw this is just like, the last surviving guy here, why is he not just like why does he not have a cat like tied to him at this point? I mean, if you were him, wouldn't you be like, I am not letting go of this cat for anything?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Because they do kind of just
taught me about spare tires. I didn't understand why they were just tires.
Yeah, I mean, they do just abandon that. Interesting too. I love this car. It's a weird thing to bring up, but it's just a very cool 1920s car. Just the open.
Yeah.
Of course, it has performance. It's a little over the top for this era, but it's a cool looking car. And this is a great sequence of just the idea of, a car a lot of the times will offer a certain degree of safety, but being in such an open car like this, it's not nearly as much of a kind of hiding spot as they are nowadays.
Yeah. It's funny. There's actually a genuine little action sequence as they're chased by these zombie people.
And everybody gets a little moment too.
Yeah. For some reason, I gloss over this. This is the least memorable action sequence of the movie. And every time I watch it, literally every time I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a little action sequence in the car.
Yeah.
And then by the time it's onto this next scene here, it's already gone and out of my head.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, the pace really does pick up here.
Mm-hmm. Because you go real fast.
Yeah. It really is just, I think, we want to get back out to Hamunaptra because, they just, here and then do the airplane and then back to the city and then we just keep moving.
Yeah. His acting here is actually really good.
Oh, you would,
in my opinion.
This would just be
sold fear so well.
You would be. I mean, how scared would you be at this point?
Yeah, but it just, I feel like it would be hard to believably pull off the amount of terror a human being would be.
Yeah. Well, and trying to have that, but still be consistent with the tone of the film, because you do want to sell that, but you don't want to. You can't all of a sudden make it feel like you're in a genuine horror film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why did they all stop here? Was this just they're just trapping them because they've got her? Yeah, I guess they're just under his control. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's the creature. He's fully regenerated. So cool thing. The language actually that they speak here is a derivative, you could say, of ancient Egyptian. They tried.
Love that
They used the
she corrects him.
same.
Sorry, just a great little
Oh, it
moment.
is really funny.
But yeah,
They
it's
did actually really try.
they did a better
Um,
job of the Egyptian in this than they did in Stargate, right?
well, I
Or
don't know.
is
Given it
it
was
the same guy?
guy.
That's right, it was the same
Yeah,
guy. I forgot
yeah.
about that.
Well, they used a very they didn't they used a very fictionalized version, as if an ancient Egyptian that evolved on a whole other planet. You know, where this is a little bit core, less evolved version of ancient Egyptian. Um,
I always wondered. Okay, the mummy, he doesn't have any like real personal grudge against any of these guys, right? He's just kind of doing his thing.
he is,
Like
but
they're
I also think that he's a power tripper.
yeah.
This is him power tripping over these people because he's come face to face with Rick like 4 times now and gotten kind of shoved off. Um, so this would be him like neener neener neener. So given the vanity of the character that they've shown so far, I believe that he would do something like that because he wouldn't know what a manhole is. Um, now the death of the priesty buddy here, the curator, was weird.
Yeah, I think
Like
they just they wanted like just stakes or something. I
they
don't know.
needed further loss.
Yeah.
Also, the way that Rick jumps into that manhole, I sure hope it was clear and he knew it, because otherwise he's going on Ardet Bay's head with both feet and full body.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I do like that they kind of pay off, you know, with the Winston character a little bit here. It's a fun little
Yeah.
sequence we get. So also, I think it just there's something about the 1920s and biplanes that just kind of sells the era a little bit. I mean, Last Crusade obviously did it very well, which would have been very late for biplanes in Last Crusade, but at this point they still would have been very standard. The idea of like sitting
Yeah.
here though with like his manservant under an umbrella having tea to, you know, the phonograph going, it's just like, oh man, is there a
He's so bored.
yeah? Well, he's so bored, but also there is a little bit of a no wonder the world was just like so sick of the British after a while because it's just like this is the way they behaved.
Yeah, but also you'll notice that even though the music is still playing, the needle was not on the record. In one of those scenes. Always bugged me.
Okay.
Um,
I honestly
the music-
hadn't noticed, but I believe you. What a way to take a trip.
yeah. I just
Odin
love
Fair's like having a great time.
Yeah.
Well, and he looks so out of place with the goggles and the leather cap on. Odin
Yeah.
Fair does. Just in his magi outfit.
That's just little character things. Like, these guys probably never flown in a plane before. He's having a ball. He loves this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good time.
So this is where I think some of these bigger okay, it's like the practicality of how these guys are getting like transported in like the sand cloud is a little bit like, all right, I'm not sure how that works, but
right.
the,
Her hair definitely wouldn't look that good, even if it looks kind of bad.
no. The you can see the textures in the storm are a little rough there as far as just a little generically kind of hazy.
Well, this is one of the first big time particle sims.
Oh yeah, yeah. Again,
Yeah,
I'm not
this was
criticizing it. It was very good
significant.
for the time, but it's definitely one of those things where you can see the age of the film.
And it is interesting that he can recognize that they're traveling in this little thing.
Aw, he's coming to get me.
I'm the damsel now.
It's. Do you feel like they ever? So he's causing all the plagues. So he's
Yeah.
got. That's a good. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Pedal faster. That's a
Pedal
great
faster.
line.
Yeah.
I feel like his powers were a little bit not unclear, but just the mummy's powers were a little over the top. That he can like just do this.
Nah. It needs to be over the top. This needs to be, he's a sorcerer from times of old. Let's do this thing,
Arnold Vosloo
and just
has
that,
such a great evil smile, by the way.
right? He plays such good bad guys. I remember seeing this interview where he was talking about how some kid went up to him and kicked him and said, bad mummy. And he took it as like one of the best compliments of his career.
Nice. That shot though of him like doing that like flex where he's like, you know, down and mouth open, like just that like move, for lack of a better term, is just great.
Yeah.
This too of like, oh man, Evelyn, way to step up. Like, what's
Yeah,
what's
like,
gonna save these people?
At least he's not like a skeleton anymore, and she
Yeah.
doesn't have to tongue a skeleton.
Winston's so just like
Yeah.
ready to go. But she has just enough
really like-
hesitation to sell this, where she looks at them and she's like, she has to like psych herself up. But then like
Yeah.
there is something about a full eyes open kiss that just it sells the awkward so well of like, because that's not how humans kiss who want to kiss. You don't stare at each
I
other.
love
You know?
her bad wig in this scene as well.
Oh, it's great. This whole thing. Oh,
It's beautiful.
those bastards. Just the
No,
way-
he says bastard, and I could never tell if he's talking about like O'Connell is a bastard, Imhotep is a bastard, or what, you know?
He says it so well. I mean, it's just in his enunciation, it's so great. Just the way he says it, I love it.
Well, that's one of the things about this movie is it's the line delivery
Oh yeah.
that is so good.
Well, so many of these lines would be stupid if they were said the wrong way, but they're just delivered exactly the way they should be. And
Yeah,
see, he's still got his gun bag.
and he's just like, ooh, I like big
Yes.
guns, and I cannot lie.
I have a machine
Because
gun.
that thing's a monster of a gun. It's a Lewis. No, it's not what you would expect from most Lewis guns, because most Lewis guns had the barrel shroud because they were
Yeah.
cooled. So that's kind of their more iconic look.
Yeah,
Man,
most
Lewis
people
guns, amazing.
the disc mag on the top. People associate that
Mm-hmm.
with the big. It's actually water cooled barrel they would have, like the World War I version of it. But
Is it water cooled?
well, the big barrel one was, yeah. If you actually look at like historical photos, it was, and they would actually cycle water for like long like setup positions. Absolutely.
Okay, because I
I
knew
do
that
wish-
it was a cooling shroud and had those like vent fans at the back, but I didn't know that
There wasn't.
it was actually water cooled.
Yeah, I mean, there absolutely are air cooled versions of it, but like the iconic one you see in like 1917, that kind of stuff, those are water cooled. But I do wish he had grabbed a few mags, because this movie actually has a few decent reloading scenes, and I wish they had one good reloading scene with that, because reloading that is kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's actually surprisingly easy. Loading
Yeah.
those magazines, though, oh my gosh, it's nuts.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books has a character who carries around a Lewis gun. He has a whole thing with gravity, so you can make it light. But he's just like he's sitting there having to load the magazine in his downtime, and it's driving him nuts. Yeah.
This scene right here is the closest I can think of. I was going to nitpick one extra for no better reason than just to get a laugh with the brother. I like the scene. I'm not saying I the scene's bad, but it's one of those where it's just, other than having an excuse to have a gunshot so the mummy knows that they're there. But the whole like, oh, I'm going to stand here and criticize you guys while you move stones is like, I don't know. It's like the one scene where I felt like it was a tiny bit over the top, and in order to get to this, in order to have a gunshot so that they're warned that they're coming.
I don't know. I like it has his greed. I don't know. It calls back to so much of the movie, and having a plot relevance, it creates stuff for them to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was great.
Oh, and like I said, hear me. I'm nitpicking. I'm saying it's the closest I can think of to a scene that I would like. All right, there's it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm nitpicking because I feel like I need to come up with one or two things to say that aren't like where the movie's not like perfect. I think it was just
what's
the
kind of
like
interesting?
him going, oh, come on, put your backs into it, take those ones. I mean, it's so over the top, and him's like no self-aware person would be caught. It's just so like over the top, and how how unaware he's being. Even for him in this movie, it's like, really, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, I am
But
nitpicking to be fair.
no, I totally get that. Um, this this treasure room, man. I love this room. This is like end of national treasure level
Oh, yeah.
type of thing.
I love his
Oh,
handling of his
quick thing
shotgun.
here.
By the way he puts it back on his shoulder, and then when he pulls it back out, the way he flips it around, his shotgun
Mhm.
handling is actually really cool in this whole sequence. Man,
So I don't think it's happened yet, but there's a deleted scene where they're getting the golden book, and they it has the whole like acid that melted those other guys at the beginning,
Mhm.
and you actually see that suddenly Jonathan and O'Connell have bandages around their hands because they get hit with it a little bit.
I probably have
So
seen that,
keep
but
an
it's
eye
been
out
so
for
long I
that.
don't remember.
Mhm.
I mean, this is one of those that, like, when I had the DVD back in the day, I watched every special feature, and
Yeah.
it's been a little while. But this
Yeah.
this whole thing of like, all right, we got the emerging. I mean, this is a very you got more classic mummies, right? With these guys, kind of bandage wrapped guys,
Mhm.
but just the whole like, now who are these guys? He says it, and then they all right, and just start shooting.
Um, but this is like this is where I would sit there and say like this is why mummies to me are zombies.
Oh yeah, I hate that he
Um,
throws the gun. Like, I mean, I don't hate it because it's funny, but like, dude, you just threw one of Rick's guns, just away essentially. Like, come on, man.
yeah. I don't know. I always liked the
It's
scene
just
because they added
disrespectful.
like a little special effect of him, of it, like, or not a special effect, a little just tiny sound effect, a little ding
Yeah.
or the thud. Um, this is a
Oh,
freaky scene.
my wife was like, "Oh, this would be like the worst part of this for me, the rat on me, out of everything."
My wife likes to make jokes, so we were watching this movie, and there's that scene, and wife's immediate reaction was, "Oh, it's becoming this kind of movie." I I love that he can light the um
Well, and
light the match
yeah,
off his face.
he did actually have, because there's a scene where he does it to himself later, and both times he said, yeah, they actually had taped a little like glued a little like strike pad like on the back behind their ear specifically for that. Like they did that for real on like a strike pad glued to their skin. It's just funny.
I thought it was just supposed to be, look how
Manly I
rough
am.
his skin is from living
Oh
in
yeah,
the
I mean that's the
jungle. Living in
yeah,
the
the,
desert.
the intention is obviously that they do it, but like, that's how they practically did it for the movie. I love that they did it for real. They actually did light matches off their own, off themselves, just for fun.
That's funny. Um,
Arnold Vosloo's in good shape, by the way. He's like he's hit the gym a little bit.
wasn't he in 24? Wasn't he a bad guy in 24?
He was the first of the two main villains in season 4 of 24. He was great in that.
Yeah, because season 4 and season 5 were like peak of that show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, he plays a very generic. I mean, 24 did this for a while, right after 9/11. Just all the Arabs are terrorists kind of thing. Unfortunately, but he was one of them, and yeah, because season 4 had two main villains, and he was kind of he died in like the hour like 13 or 14, sometime around there.
Okay.
But he was good, and then he also, a show that I really enjoy, Bosch, the Amazon series based on the books about the detective.
Yeah, yeah.
He had a prominent role in season 3 of that show, where he was a bad guy, but he did a great job.
Yeah. He was in G.I. Joe Retaliation. He was in the Jack Ryan TV series with John Krasinski. I remember him in a couple things. Like he did the voice of Black Adam in a few things I remember.
Mm.
But I also very distinctly remember he's South African.
Yeah.
He's not actually Middle Eastern at all. He's South African. He's like mainly Dutch and German. Another thing that he was in.
I want to point
I don't
out
remember.
the editing is spot on here at the end because
Yeah.
the pace they maintain going back and forth between what's happening here, bringing Inoxinamun's body back and Evelyn and then going back to them fighting and trying to get her, like, again, they maintain the energy level really good without ever getting fatiguing.
That's a good way to put it.
That's
And it is a
freaky.
genuinely creepy design.
Yeah.
Um, and
Oof.
yeah, good
then-
dagger. I remember always liking that dagger.
I mean, giving Jonathan the book was also brilliant because it gives him something to do. We've established he's not going to be here, fighting the mummies, being very effective at that. He's kind of worthless. So you have Rick doing the action stuff, but I mean, it would be a challenge, right? Like, okay, so what's Jonathan doing? Well, he would know a lot, but he's kind of a doofus. So you would get to have this chance for him to, one, have something legitimate to do, also some really good comedy opportunities. It was a really it was a well-designed role for him to play.
Oh, okay. So this scene right here, these are entirely CG or replacements. So he was just well rehearsed hacking at the air, and this is apparently supposed to be a tribute to Ray Harryhausen work specifically in his Sinbad movie. Because there's all kinds of comedy with the mummies going on here.
Yeah.
I love the scene when he kicks the one in the crotch, and it's like his crotch goes up, like into his torso. It's so gross.
Oh man.
They use an actual amputee for one of these guys, which is always a cool thing.
These are also the closest that we get to kind of the classic mummies, right? Of like bandaged wrapped dudes.
Yeah, these are kind of the classic ones.
Oh yeah, and it's a fun way to have an homage to those guys without doing it for your main guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I love this stuff. It's so clever. It's so fun. It's so cheesy, but it's also funny. I love the mummy getting crushed by the big stone. I thought it was great.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Roshi Murugashka.
We're gonna make things work worse before we make things better.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, he didn't do that.
No, he
Wait,
brought these
did
guys
he
in.
summon them?
Yeah. He
Oh.
summoned these guys, but he didn't finish the spell to control them.
Oh, I
yeah.
always thought that
Oh yeah.
the mummy did it.
Well, that's why she yells at him, finish the spell, you idiot, and you can control them.
Yeah. I always so the sword that they're carrying is called a Khopesh. It's that curved sword. These ones are a little off.
Yeah,
The thing
they're
about the
too curved.
Khopesh is that they were these good slashing weapons, but they tended to have a hook. So they acted almost like a bill hook weapon, which is a spear with a hook that's designed to drag shields down. So the whole idea is that you can actually hook
This.
an enemy's shield and
Wait.
pull them down, and then be able to like stab and slash with them. They're some of my favorite sword designs. I love Khopesh.
Sorry, his reaction right there. Top 3 moments for me. Just that he gives. It's so little, but he does it so good. I love it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
man.
then this little, Inoxinamun versus Eevee thing, which they do more of that in the second one, and there's a mirroring of this entire situation, which is appreciable if it's not exactly great.
No. They also really switch.
Spider effect, really good.
They switch here from the slower priest mummies to the fast, almost spider-like,
Yeah.
soldier mummies here, and it does a good job
These are
of
the
kind of
special forces mummies.
yeah. And it does a good job of mixing up the action, because I think if you had kept this whole thing just nothing but slow kind of traditional mummies, it would have, again, this keeps it interesting, the action scene, and there's still comedy bits here, with the head obviously and stuff, but it keeps things interesting and just dynamic enough to not, again, get repetitive.
And it's actually a reshoot. They the test audiences really liked the movie, but they thought that it didn't have an actiony enough finale. So they went back in Atlanta, and so that's why, you can see Rachel Weisz has a very distinct wig compared to what it was previously. Um, the action is confined to what are these very obvious sets that didn't appear before, you know? So it, yeah.
It works, though.
I thought that is a great addition.
Yeah, well, it I feel like the finale of this film is almost the perfect length. Like the action scene, this whole action, it's not a scene. This action set piece is long enough to really stay interesting. I mean, there's a little bit of his delivery of that is really good. He like gets confident all of a sudden. Hakushta,
Yeah. Go kill the lady.
Yes, but it's he just drops it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, but it is. There's sorry, I keep interrupting myself. Just enjoying this movie. It's and again you get the nice shadow Shakespearean violence, off screen kind of so to speak.
That's a great way to do it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just like I'm immortal, right?
He just still throws him. Oh goodness.
Yeah,
that like chin hit always got me a little bit like, ooh, that would get you good.
So
although it makes perfect sense to get the key back.
Things that they do.
Go ahead.
One of the things that they do so well with like the Mummy Returns is that Imhotep would have such a grudge against specifically Rick and Evie, especially Rick, because he just keeps besting him every time and being such a pain. Also, one of the things that always bothered me is that Imhotep's costuming here, he has a clear hole in his butt. And you can just see this swath of cheek the whole movie, or the whole sequence.
My kids commented the other night, they said, isn't that really short for an incantation that would be that powerful? It's like 4 syllables.
It's like, okay, buddy, it's time for you to go. And that's the whole spell.
Yeah, you're right. It's almost like a. It's not like solid fabric over his butt. He's like got like a. I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely an odd choice. He's very confident, and just strutting around.
Well, he may not have understood. I doubt he understood exactly either.
Arnold Vosloo?
His character.
Oh no, his character. Absolutely.
I don't think he understood that he was mortal.
Oh, never mind. I was talking about his wardrobe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, he knew. I'm sure he felt the draft.
Yeah. This is a good transition back.
Yeah, it gives you that kind of. It's not the best special effects, but it's so good, like thematically.
Yeah.
So gross.
Yeah, I mean the transition's a little bit, CGI-ish for the era. I mean, obviously it was CGI, but it sells the tone of it, the music, and the last shot where he finally finishes fully transforming and then goes down into the souls or whatever they are in the black liquid. It works, but then we get one last little sequence, which is great here.
I really liked the idea of him being made mortal, and I thought that. Even as a kid, they rushed production of The Mummy Returns, right? Came out 2 years after this movie. They actually greenlit The Mummy Returns for this, like the day it released. And I always felt, even as a kid, I was just like, dude, it'd be a cool sequel idea? Is if he gets brought back somehow again, but he's quickly made mortal. Like they're trying to defeat him. Like the first third of the movie is them going, oh crap, somebody brought Imhotep back again. And they're trying to defeat him. And they make him mortal. And then something else happens or there's some other thing. And he's the only, as a high priest at this time, he knew that there was something else that they could do. And there's some other threat, like the Scorpion King or whatever. and they need to like team up almost, but then it would still end with that same type of like battle between O'Connell and Imhotep. I like that he tries to save Benny.
Yeah, no, I
Like-
always liked that.
Yeah,
That even after all this, he wasn't just gonna. He wouldn't. O'Connell's not just gonna kill somebody like in cold blood like that.
yeah. What's the one movie where they're like crawling through something like that? We were talking about it. Alien versus Predator.
Oh yeah, and the
Remember Alien
amount of
versus
time they
Predator?
give them is like not even remotely close.
But this one has a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, it's still off a little bit. Like if you timed it, but it's not even remotely as egregious as AVP was.
Mm.
That
That's
was
a
like
rough one.
that tunnel would have collapsed 3 or 4 times over in the amount of time that sequence went by. Man, this is like
This is
man,
horror.
Yeah.
It's just like he's seen what those things could do. They've already established it several times, including like in his eye line,
Oh yeah.
and it's just like
His torch
hey,
does
you
go
know,
out like
it's over.
really fast all of a sudden, but I feel like drawing this sequence out would have actually made it worse. So I'm glad that they just went right to it.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I think that was actually a different. I think that was actually a change in like editing, because the torch isn't actually going out. They're just like darkening the film.
Hmm.
And so I'm just like, oh, okay.
is
It's like
quite the
I think
sequence
that
there.
was in a post-production thing.
They
Yeah.
did get
I like
very
their
far
use of
away all
miniatures
of a
and
sudden
stuff.
though. Like they've run like, I mean, if you look at like proportionally how big they are compared to where that is, like that's like a mile away.
But also with all the gold, like this would be worth the venture to like modern mining techniques.
Oh yeah, to get back in there.
This guy, they made him survive because Steven Summers, they were already talking, all the stuff was going really well. They were already talking about sequel stuff, and he was like, he really liked working with this guy. He thought he was a fun character. He grew from like a bit part to a bigger part of the plot and all this stuff. They're like, I'm gonna have him survive, so we can bring him back.
He's just leaving.
Because he
us
was
here.
supposed to just die.
Yeah.
Even the novelization of the movie has him die.
Oh really?
Yeah, like it was the thing. He was dead until reshoots.
I love this. His reaction.
Yeah,
and
the hanging the hat on it or whatever they call it. You know,
yeah.
putting a
having the
lampshade on it.
having the music come back in here, kind of the theme, and just the little bit with a camel here is just funny and just oh gosh.
Yeah, it is a good love theme. They don't really do a lot of those in movies anymore.
No, it's that. I mean, too, the lighting here is fantastic, and
Yeah,
just giving the frame stuff well. I mean, you get just that little bit of a that classic sound effect of kind of the the sheen on the gold there that they apparently still don't realize they have. Yeah, and
always
you just right off the
hated the
sunset. It's
little
just a classic
gleam.
ending.
yeah. I always hated the gleam, or no,
really?
actually not the gleam, the sound effect.
I mean, it's
Little
just
ding.
classic. I mean, I'm not saying it's good. It's just it's so it's just been it's established. You know what it means without anybody telling you.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think they need the sound effect. I think the sound effect made it kind of cheesy and stupid. That's a me thing though.
That's all right. Yeah, no, this is
The Mummy.
just this is a great film. This is a fantastic example of how to do just a big loud fun adventure film and mix in mythology and just enough. I mean, again, it's taking all the best notes from indie and just saying like, hey, let's just do that with some tweaks, and we've got some great actors,
Yeah.
and we got an idea, and let's do a different culture, and it just nailed it.
Yeah. And nothing, it's like, this is one of those things where people talk about, oh, nothing's original anymore. This to me is one of the examples. You don't need to be.
No.
You don't need to be original in everything you do. You just need to do it well.
Well,
And
that's
this is very much that, like, they're going in, they're like, we want to make Indiana Jones for the 20th century.
yeah.
And they come out with this.
Even Indiana Jones wasn't original. It was a very direct, like, I want to do this thing that I saw when I was a kid. And guess what?
The homage.
Yeah, and I mean, this quote has been, people have said this for years now on the internet. So I want to be, credit to the internet or whatever that means. People, it's not superhero fatigue. It's not comic fatigue. It's mediocre film fatigue is what it is. It's do it well. If you do it well, nobody cares. If it is a direct homage or ripoff or remake or whatever. People love remakes when they're good. People love homages when they're great. People love straight off ripoffs when they're amazing. People just want good movies. And if you make a good movie, it's not a guarantee that it's going to be successful. There's plenty of very good movies that nobody's seen, and there's plenty of very successful movies that are mediocre. I'm not trying to say it's a perfect ratio, but you should be way more interested in making a good movie than I mean, just because something's original doesn't mean it's automatically good.
Yeah.
Sorry, a little rant there.
Yeah, we've seen so many superhero origin stories, but I still think that, like, Shang-Chi knocked it out of the park for that, because it was just another superhero origin story. But it was so well done. It was so fun, and the fight sequences were incredible.
People love origin stories, though.
Yeah,
I really think that I love a good origin story. A good origin story is like there's a reason why they're done so often, because people love to see that initial step, that initial going from discovering that you're somebody, discovering that you have purpose, discovering that there are themes there that people love. And when you nail an origin story, people are there for it.
You're not wrong, but you have to nail it. I think the doom of a lot of origin stories is that they don't bring the character that people want to see into their element until, like, 2/3 of the way into the movie, which is why movies like Batman Begins do really well at balancing it with most of the story told in flashbacks, or Aquaman has him still being out there and taking on pirate subs early in the movie and stuff like that, and Shang-Chi kicking ass on a bus in San Francisco in the first 15 minutes. But The Mummy is a whole different kind of origin story.
Yeah.
And this had the potential, but they rushed it. They moved too fast. They wanted the money, and that was kind of their downfall in making a mediocre sequel.
Yeah.
It was really sad.
Yeah, it is a, we'll briefly touch on this. We talked about it before we started recording. I'm sure we'll talk about this more again next week. But they did get all the actors back, and when you get all the actors back, you get some of that magic again. But that's really the only reason why I still will happily watch the sequel to this. But there's so many things about it that they just don't work.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
This whole, like, credit music, by the way, I'm, like, listening to this and just, like, it's just dang good music. I mean, Jerry Goldsmith. I mean, I love Star Trek, obviously, and he's such a massive part of Star Trek's music and Stargate's music, and I mean, so many great productions. But man, this is just a great titles. I love good orchestral music over credits. I mean, a good end credit song can be fun, but I love just a good kind of medley of all the themes of the film put together into one big, like, where you kind of get everything. You get a little bit of everything in the end credit music. There's so many great examples of that happening in film, and I always enjoy it. This movie's a great example.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Given that mine is on Amazon, it was like, hey, what do you want to watch next? I own this one. I'm, like, in my own stuff, and it's like, hey, we got something we want you to watch. We're just going to autoplay it for you, okay, bud? You just go to hell. But
is there anything that you would tweak about this movie? This movie is not needing fixing, but is there anything that you would tweak?
That I would tweak? I don't even know. More Ardette Bay. I loved him. I love Oded Fair. No. This is up there for me. This is in my top 3 action adventure movies of all time.
Really?
I wouldn't change I wouldn't change a thing in this movie. Oh yeah, no, I genuinely believe that this movie has the performances and the classic staying power and the quality to be measured alongside movies like Last Crusade and Raiders of the Lost Ark. It deserves to be in those same conversations. And a lot of people put it down for like how much it copies them, but I don't think that's fair. And because they copied so much of what came before them, and it deserves to be in that same category as just great classic action adventures, right next to Princess Bride and Indiana Jones.
Okay.
This movie is perfect.
Okay. I mean, I love this movie. We were talking about this a little bit, so we both know this already. I think if I was going to give like the kind of the two reasons why I still think Raiders and Last Crusade are above this for me, and I think that this, to me, I would argue this despite where they were in my life and kind of the nostalgia factor. As much as I love Brendan Fraser, I still think he's not quite Harrison Ford. I don't think there's anybody else that's quite Harrison Ford to be, especially in his prime. I also think that the action set pieces themselves, as just like if you look at how they're staged and the creative sequences they go through, I think Indy still is a little bit better. I mean, I think of the entire truck chase in Raiders is just such a phenomenal set piece. The in Last Crusade, everything with the tank in the desert, it's just, that's such a great set piece. You have some of these moments that are just perfectly done, and Spielberg is just such a fantastic film maker when it comes to that kind of stuff, especially back then in the the late 70s through the early 2000s. He was just kicking, and every cylinder was going for him. And that there's just there's stuff like that on a pure cinema level that is superior to me. But this is like half a percentage point below that for me, where I do think it's a slight step down, but the ever so slightly step down for me.
I do agree, because we've talked about this before. On my tier, in my list, Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade is the single greatest like action adventure movie ever made. It is the top of my list. I get why people put Raiders up there, but it was the first. It is super fun. It is an amazing movie. I think Last Crusade is better, just kind of in every way.
Mm-hmm. You're wrong, but that's okay.
In many ways, at least I should say. And this one isn't quite as good. But it deserves to be up there in that conversation.
Yes. Oh, I'm pulling at this thread more just for the sake of the podcast than because I really want to die on this hill. This is a fantastic film, and anybody who tries to act like this is some poor man's knockoff or in a totally different category that's way lower, you're just making stuff up in your head. This is the most, by far, the most worthy film to have in the conversation after Last Crusade and Raiders for me. I mean, I know some people would probably argue. I'm not super familiar with it. I think there's some people that might argue Romance in the Stone. I know people revere that movie a lot. I don't know it well enough to honestly have an opinion one way or the other. So I'm sorry, anybody that's screaming that at their phone right now. But I'm trying. Is there anything else to you that, like, in this type of action adventure film, that would be up there? Because every other big action adventure film is in a different genre for me. It gets into sci-fi or dystopian or like kind of like modern day. But like if you go back to like the 20s, the 30s, the classic action adventure, I can't think of anything else. Am I missing something obvious?
The ones that pop into my head when associating them with stuff like this is a lot of things. I would even say, I think about movies like Ghostbusters. I think about movies like Back to the Future. But the ones that pop out in my head specifically are like The Goonies and National Treasure.
Sahara wanted to be like this, right?
It's
Matthew
Sahara.
McConaughey.
Oh, God, Sahara.
Yeah.
And then like the Tomb Raider movies and everything like that. Atlantis, The Lost Empire,
Yeah.
or Uncharted tried to be like this, which, God, if only they had two different leads.
Yeah.
Like, Tom Holland is not Nathan Drake.
No.
And good God, Mark Wahlberg is not Sully. And I hate Mark Wahlberg. And part of the reason I hate Mark Wahlberg is because of his absolute ego trip that was the long, arduous production of Uncharted.
Yeah. I think of all those
Jumanji,
as different though.
Road to El Dorado.
Yeah, I think for me the historical setting is such a massive part of these films. Like that, I mean, tonally, you're right. A lot of the other films hit that, but there is something about the movie being set in like the 20s and 30s that just is very like key to what makes these movies unique to me. I mean, maybe that's just me, but you know what I mean? Like that to me is like, if you change that, you've kind of fundamentally changed the tone of the film.
Okay.
But that, I mean, like I said, that could very much be me. As soon as you jump to like the 80s or later, even the late 70s, I feel like you just immediately have kind of changed things. That's one of the reasons why the new Indiana Jones movies, despite a lot of other problems, Indiana Jones belongs in the 30s and the 40s. He just does for me. And I mean, that's a me thing. I'm not saying you can't enjoy those films but there's just something that changes about his character and the tone of those when you get out of that era, that historical era.
Congo.
What era was that set in? I've seen that once.
No, it was 90s, but
Okay.
that was the one that I was trying to think of that I couldn't think of. It was Congo, which is not a very good movie, and it's actually not even a very good book.
Yeah.
But no, you are right. And I don't know. I think Indiana Jones is something that could have evolved over time. Personally, that's a whole different conversation for when we finally get to Indiana Jones. But I don't know. Like, I do love the time period, and one of my favorite book series takes place in this same time period and has some of the same type of feeling to it. So with a lot more efforts.
The world, I love this era also. I just thought of this, so I'm like curious if this will work. I think this era, pre-World War II era, perfectly also fits in so much of the world still felt kind of mysterious and undiscovered, and technology was just getting to the point where we can kind of recognize things, and airplanes and modern firearms were starting to come into their own, but we're still primitive enough that they couldn't solve problems that nowadays would be a lot easier. Like it's like that perfect mixture of, it still feels old, but new enough to kind of recognize it. That there's a balance there in the early 20th century that is kind of unique to that era. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
I'd agree with that.
But anyways, this is a fantastic movie. I love this movie, and I I literally just watched this 3 days ago, and I am perfectly happy to have watched it again. I enjoyed it just as much again this time. So there's not a lot of movies I can watch that close between viewings and genuinely enjoy them, but like, every time. That's a short list. There's movies that I respect a ton. I can't do that with, but this one is one of them.
Yeah, me too. Oh, I love this movie. Anyway, we are going to have a lot more to say about The Mummy and the Mummy movies, as we are going to be continuing along with Mummy Month. Eventually going through The Mummy Returns, The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, and the 2017 Mummy starring Tom Cruise, which is going to be, I think, a very interesting episode.
Yeah, I still need to watch that.
Are you excited, Brian?
I'm excited to finally see it. That's one of those that I always meant to see, and this, I'm not expecting great things, but I'm looking forward to it.
It's on the edge of greatness. It could have been fantastic, and there were just these little things about it that, kind of like when you're aiming with a rifle, if you're just 1 degree off, suddenly you're not even on the target anymore.
Yep.
And it's so sad.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
But please join us again next week for The Mummy Returns.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
There's doors and corners, kid. If you don't clear the room, if you don't come in slow,